Meet Van Snap. This 3-year-old Belgian Malinois is the latest addition to the Palm Desert Police Department and the city's first four-legged officer.
He's been trained to look for guns, articles, people, and when he's given the commands in Dutch by his handler, he goes off and finds whatever he's been directed to look for.
Van Snap demonstrates his abilities, going straight for a set of keys in the grass without even sniffing them first.
They're protection for our officers and it's a safety element.
Van Snap can go into a crime situation ahead of the officers. By using his keen sense of smell, he can sniff out a suspect sometimes much faster than officers ever could.
He can go and take anybody down. You know, if they have a weapon in their hand, doesn't matter. Once he's given the command to do what I instruct him to do, he'll do it.
Now, of course, Van Snap takes his police work very seriously, but when it comes to playtime, he is just a regular dog. There you go.
He's able to differentiate between when it's work time and when it's playtime.
Steve says Van Snap loves to run, and he also loves treats.
He's a friend, he's a partner of mine.
Steve says he's never had a human police officer as a partner, so he can't say which is better, but he's pretty partial to Van Snap.
I think the city and our police department is blessed to have a dog like him. So.
In Palm Desert, Ciara Coyle, KMIR6 News.
Oh, no.
Intense heat waves shimmer on the desert sands. Like a mirage, in the distance appears the outline of the Dos Palmas Ranch. It's a real oasis in the desert, attracting thousands of visitors dating back to the 1800s. First, it was the gold miners and pioneers riding their wagons to the Dos Palmas stagecoach stop. Then they'd go on to Los Angeles. 15 years before Wyatt Earp's infamous gunfight at the OK Corral, he drove stagecoaches out here. Jenny Kelly is a prominent historian of Dos Palmas. She shows me inside the ranch house. It's one of 2 remaining buildings on the 1,400-acre site. Historic records are sketchy on exactly who built the house in the 1920s, but Jenny says in 1937, a German immigrant named Gertrude von Tendridge bought the ranch. She's pictured here, riding on the back of a wagon. Believe it or not, Gertrude is said to have made a fortune developing the equipment used to make tampons. She then sunk much of her money into making the Dos Palmas Ranch a resort.
It was one of the earliest resorts in the desert.
By those early standards, it was very high class.
It was like going into the best resorts in Palm Springs.
Gertrude could put up at least 6 or 7 guests every night. Sharing the brightly colored bathroom was no big deal.
Guests would come out because it was the most unique place, and nobody at the time, especially the people coming from overseas, and of course she was from Germany, had ever seen anything like it. And you know, they had the clay tennis courts, they had the horseback riding, they had everything here that anybody could want in the form of a resort.
Photos were snapped of guests riding the ranch donkeys. Others preferred lounging in the natural springs pool. But Gertrude Voss Tendridge eventually sold Dos Palmas.
This is Ray Morgan Sr. He's the one that purchased the ranch in 1943 and just used it as a family getaway and for all of their myriad of Hollywood friends.
She says big stars like James Cagney stayed here often.
That's it.
East of Eden actor Raymond Massey's thank you note still sits framed inside the house. In it, he thanked Mr. Morgan for the delicious dates.
Okay. This is one of 2 entrances from the house into the adobe great room. Wow. Isn't that beautiful?
Relics of a stately era gone by adorn the adobe great room. Embroidered curtains from the 20s, original yet faded yellow furniture, and at the end of the room, the giant hearth fireplace. Jenny says this is where the guests enjoyed elaborate dinners and parties. Visitors to the Dos Palmas Ranch back in the 1930s, 40s, and beyond could have walked through this lush palm tree area about a quarter of a mile from the house. They would have first heard the sound of flowing water and then seen what looks like a creek, but this is no creek. This is a natural artesian spring, naturally flowing water from the ground constantly, water safe enough to drink. In the height of the summer, drinking water could be a life-saving discovery.
You don't want to visit in the summertime. Wait until late fall, and fall and winter and spring, we call it heaven out here. We don't call it heaven in the summertime.
But summertime dictated that one famous visitor stay here.
Patton was out here during the months that he had the desert training camp.
The military said the landscape and terrain was exactly the same as the deserts of North Africa, where Patton and his troops fought in 1942. Today, no one really owns Dos Palmas Ranch. The Bureau of Land Management oversees it and the wetlands habitat it's created here. But Jenny says the ranch house holds the key to the history of Dos Palmas.
Anytime you can preserve history for future generations, it's a wonderful thing.
She recently got the guest house on Riverside County's historic registry. Next on her list, national historic recognition for Dos Palmas, which means it could literally be protected forever as a United States treasure. At Dos Palmas Ranch in North Shore, Ciara Coyle, KMIR6 News. With the whistle, 200 bike riders crowded for the best position and the most momentum. This first day of the Redlands Bicycle Classic race took over the city of Beaumont and brought riders from around the country. This man watched for his son, a rider from Yuba City near Sacramento.
He's 19 years old. This is his first year as a professional cyclist, so it's kind of exciting to watch him race here.
This group of ladies came all the way from Germany to race.
Still a little bit jet lag, so we are early in the morning awake and early in the evening tired, so it's difficult, but it's amazing here. It's really cool.
Now in its second year here in Beaumont, this race has brought out more of everyone. More spectators, more hand cyclists, more women riders, and more men riders. And those men riders are some of the best in cycling. Big names like former Tour de France winner Floyd Landis and Justin Williams, plus at least 7 current national champions of cycling. Heavy winds did not help the riders, but the cyclists whirring by provided a very convenient field trip.
Since it's so close, our school's right up the road, San Gregorio Middle School. We thought we'd come down and enjoy it.
The kids caught on to cheering for the riders really quickly. As they pedaled toward the final lap of the 92-mile race, the riders pushed their legs up and around some steep hills. They picked up some speed on the straightaway, and after more than 3 hours in the saddle, the riders raced over the finish line, putting another world-class event in the books for Beaumont. Ciara Coyle, KMIR6 News.